Have you ever stared at a static title card on a presentation and thought it needed some life? Most people just slap on a default typewriter preset and call it a day, which usually leaves the text looking stiff and rigid. When you see smooth, cascading titles in professional videos, it is easy to assume the editor spent hours chopping the word up. It looks like they put every single letter on its own layer and manually staggered the timing, one frame at a time. But cutting up text is a nightmare to manage. Professional motion designers keep the entire word intact on a single layer. Instead of moving pieces by hand, they use an underlying system built into the software to manipulate the whole group at once. If you rely on duplicating layers for every letter, a simple client note like fixing a typo means rebuilding the entire sequence from scratch. By using procedural text tools, you save yourself hours of tedious rework. To understand how this works, picture a stadium wave. Think of the individual letters in your word as the people sitting in those stadium seats. They are all lined up, waiting for their turn to move. For that wave to ripple smoothly through the crowd, people don't just stand up randomly. They react to an invisible line of momentum sweeping across their section, standing up and sitting down in a synchronized flow. That exact chain reaction is the blueprint for creating professional text transitions. You set up the crowd, define their movement, and then send a wave of energy right through them. In Adobe After Effects, this system is called the Text Animator Engine. To build our wave, we first have to establish the starting conditions for our text. We apply an animator to our text layer and adjust two properties. We drop the vertical position down by a few pixels, and we drop the opacity down to absolute 0. Because we applied these changes to the whole layer, the word vanishes. In our stadium metaphor, this is the entire crowd sitting down in the dark before the show begins. You have to define this hidden starting state first. It gives the letters a specific point of origin to travel from when they finally transition into their visible resting positions. This diagram shows the range selector acting like an invisible laser beam. Passing over the text, it triggers letters to return to their resting position. We move this beam using the offset setting. We start offset at -100%, finishing at +100%. By setting those 2 points in time, you control the timing of the entire word. You don't have to touch a single individual letter. Animating the offset turns a tedious, frame-by-frame process into one automated sweep. The software handles the complex sequencing for you. But right now, the motion feels a bit off. By default, the range selector applies the animation in a square shape. This means that the transition for every single individual letter is instantaneous, making the resulting motion look incredibly stiff and robotic. To fix this, we dive into the advanced settings and change the shape of our selector from square to ramp up. Ramp up replaces that hard binary switch with a smooth gradient. Instead of jumping instantly to full opacity and height, each letter gradually builds kinetic momentum as the selector passes over it. The final tuning step involves adjusting two values called ease high and ease low. These settings let us control the acceleration and deceleration of the letters. Think back to our stadium crowd. Real people brace themselves, stand with a burst of speed, and then naturally slow down as they reach their full height. Setting ease high to 50% and ease low to 100% mimics that natural human physics. Manipulating the math behind the shape and the easing separates a basic drag-and-drop template from a custom, fluid title sequence. To blend sequential vertical movements seamlessly, we turn on motion blur. This simulates the slight blur a real camera captures when objects move quickly. This final image shows our polished presentation header. We have a highly legible, elegant sequence where the opacity and vertical position cascade perfectly across the word. Because we built this using the Text Animator Engine, the entire animation lives on the text layer itself, rather than being hard-coded to specific characters. If a client asks you to change a short word into a much longer one, you don't have to reposition a dozen layers. You just highlight the text, type the new words, and the engine automatically adapts the wave to the new length. When you master these built-in systems, you stop pushing pixels around by hand. You learn to orchestrate the software.